Hello children. In our lesson today, we are going to be learning how to count in fives. And we're going to use some of the techniques we used yesterday. So we're going to begin with using our fingers. So just like we counted in twos yesterday, we are going to use our fingers to count in fives. Now you're really good at this in class, so I don't think it's going to cause you any problem. So I'm going to count in fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Can carry on, 55, 60. I'm going to stop at 60. Let's do that again. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So children, I want you to look at the numbers that we've just said. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Do you notice a pattern? Do you pause the video for a moment and talk to your grown-up? That's right children, I think you spotted the pattern is in the ones column. 5 ones, 0 ones, 5 ones, 0 ones. 5 ones, 0 ones, 5 ones, 0 ones, 5 ones, 0 ones, 5 ones, 0 ones. So our pattern is 5 and 0. That means that the numbers in our 5 times table, because when we're counting in fives, we are saying our 5 times table, will all end in 5 or 0. So let's look at how this works in practice, children. Here I have got some groups of 5 or some lots of 5. I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lots of 5. 8 lots of 5 equals, let's count in 5 to check. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So 8 lots of 5 equals 40. Goodness me children, that would be a lot to write every time I needed to write a calculation down. So I can use the symbols that we've been learning, and multiplication symbol to make this much easier to write. So lots of can be replaced by the multiplication symbol. 8 times 5 equals 40. So let's have a look at another example. Here I've got some more groups of 5. They're actually little aliens in your PDF file. Let's see how many lots of 5 I've got here. I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 lots of 5. Let's write that as a multiplication. 7 times 5. And what the answer to 7 times 5 is, let's count in fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So 7 times 5 is 35. 7 lots of 5 is also 35. Now there are some other examples in the PDF file for you to work through, and I'd like you to have a little look at those, talk to your grown-up about them. And because you are so good at counting in fives, I've also included some number tracks for you to have a go at filling in using your knowledge of counting in fives. So now let's see how we turn our counting in fives into our times tables. Do you remember what we did yesterday, children? We said that each finger when we were counting was one of our lots of. So instead of going 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, we could say 1 times 5 is 5, 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 5 is 15, 4 times 5 is 20, 5 times 5 is 25, 6 times 5 is 30, 7 times 5 is 35, 8 times 5 is 40, 9 times 5 is 45, 10 times 5 is 50, 11 times 5 is 55, 12 times 5 is 60. I'd like you to pause the video and I'd like you to practice saying your 5 times table using your fingers. If you want, you can count in fives first. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. It's important that you go to 60. And then say it as a times table. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 5 is 30. 7 times 5 is 35. 8 times 5 is 40. 9 times 5 is 45. 10 times 5 is 50. 11 times 5 is 55. 12 times 5 is 60. As I say, children, please make sure that you get to 60 and don't just stop at 50. So let's have a look at these now, children. I've got 2 multiplications here. How am I going to solve them? 6 times 5. Well, I could use my fingers to help me. So I could use my 6 fingers and each one is worth 5. Are we ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Or I could say as a times table. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 5 is 30. So the answer to 6 times 5 is 30. Now, do you remember, children, we learned something very special last week. We learned that our multiplications are like our additions and they're commutative. That means I can swap over my digits that I'm multiplying. So if I know that 6 times 5 is 30, I also know that 5 times 6 is 30. Let's look at another example. Let's look at 4 times 5. Okay, 4 lots of 5. I could count in fives. 5, 10, 15, 20. I could say it as a times table. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 5 is 20. So the answer to 4 times 5 is 20. And remember, if I know that 4 times 5 is 20, I also know that 5 times 4 is 20. So now, children, I want you to look at this. I've got the number 25 here, and I want to know how many 5s there are in 25. Wonder how I could work that one out. Well, I could count up to 25 on my fingers and see how many fingers that is. Are we ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. 5 fingers. So that's 5 lots of 5 is 25. Let me check. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. So there are 5 5s in 25. Now I could also do this on a number line. So I could write my numbers from 0 up to 25 and see how many jumps I make to get up to 25. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So whichever way I do it, there are 5 5s in 25. There's a similar example in the PDF file I'd like you to have a look at. It's about how many £5 notes make up £45. Now in your PDF file, there is a problem I've included which talks about being at a campsite and there are some tents and you can sleep 5 people in each tent and there are 7 tents altogether. And we want to know how many people can sleep in those 7 tents. So let me think. It's definitely a multiplication and I can draw a picture to help me if I'm not quite sure of my times table. So I've got 7 tents. That's my 7 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And there are 5 people in each tent. So I'm going to put 5 counters in each group. Okay, that's 7 lots of 5. So I know 7 lots of 5 can be written 7 times 5. Let's count in fives. I could count my pictures, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. If I needed to, I could use my fingers. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Or I could say it as a times table. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 5 is 15. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 5 is 30. 7 times 5 is 35. Whichever way I do it, I am going to get 35 as my answer. I could have drawn an array if I'd have wanted to, 7 lots of 5. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. The quickest way to do it is this, but only if you're confident. If you need to draw pictures or you need to draw an array, please do that to solve any problems like this. And we'll be looking at this on Thursday again. So now year 2, I would like you to do some independent tasks. They're all set out in our PDF file. And I know you're going to be brilliant. You have shown an excellent understanding of multiplication and of our counting in 5s and our counting in 2s over the past couple of weeks. So I don't think these are going to cause you any problems. I can't wait to see what you do. So don't forget to send lots of photos to me. See you tomorrow, year 2. Bye.